Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Monday Mindset Mastery. And I am excited to have BJ Stromme here, all the way from Alaska. So it's early in the morning for her. And I met BJ through an event we were both part of through a mutual acquaintance a month or two ago. And I really loved her and wanted to have her as my guest. So welcome, BJ.
Thank you, Lori. It's an honor to be here. Thank you. It's going to be fun.
Yes, it will be fun. So, BJ does a lot of work on mindset and knowing your value. So, I'd love you, BJ. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you got to this point.
Okay. Yeah, because it's a journey for everyone, right? Yeah.
That's half the
Um,
fun, or more, probably most of the fun.
yeah, especially if you can grasp that it's a journey, not a destination, and just to learn
Hmm.
along the way. So, yes. So, I have been an entrepreneur, independent entrepreneur for over 40 years. And I started in banking for 10 years. And of course, you have to get to know people and service. And I was tagged into a online, or not online, at that time it was in person, party. So a direct sales party. And I had my arm twisted and I went and I'm like, are you sure? I don't really want to go. But I went. And I fell in love with just the way my skin felt. It was a skincare party. And so I started in the direct sales industry after a while, just because I liked the idea of working for myself. I liked that independence. And of course, most direct sales companies, if they're a good company and they're solid, they have lots of fun benefits for you. And they're really focused on personal growth. A lot of
Hmm.
direct sales companies are a personal growth journey for many people. So it was for me. And I spent a long time in that business. And so I really worked on learning people. What helps them make decisions? What makes them tick? How do I become the best that I can be in speaking the language of whoever I'm talking with, identifying what they need and how I can help. And so I built a business with over 3,000 clients and 200 leaders and spent a lot of time just on me, um, on personal growth. And I loved it. So I started my own company. I wanted to work outside of just that one direct sales company. And I am now a coach. I've been a coach forever, but I now have my own company for the last like 13 years. And I work with direct sellers and MLM and solopreneurs, people who are 100% responsible for their own client acquisition and for keeping those clients. They don't have anybody else sending them clients. They're not working for a company, or they're in sales and somebody does send them company, but they have to get good at understanding people. So I love it. I love working with people. And because of that, I wrote a book with the help of my daughter and my son, all about personality profiling. And it is called Are You My Flock? Because birds of a feather flock together. And it's personality profiling in a very fun and easy way. So it's kind of the short gist of really how I got into coaching. And I now live off grid up in beautiful Southeast Alaska. We are actually the maintenance caretakers of a closed down logging camp. And so there's nobody here but us. It's amazing. You only get to town by float boat, float
Wow.
plane, or boat. So
Wow.
that's
Well,
me.
that's that. There was a lot there that we can talk about. Um, First, congratulations on being a successful entrepreneur for 40 years. I mean, that's something, they say most people, something like 70% of businesses fail in the first year, and making it past 10 years is amazing. So that you've been doing it just speaks to your success. So we'll get a little bit into the mindset, but, you talked a lot about personal growth, and I know you mentioned you live off grid and you're the only one there. And what I was thinking as you're saying that is, you really do need to love yourself and value yourself if you're the only one there, because you're not going to get other people giving you what you need. It's going to be you. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, our unconscious mind is our best friend or our worst enemy, right? And when you are alone with yourself, you've got that unconscious mind, which is either negative Nelly on your shoulder or your
Mhm.
best cheerleader. And it does give you time to reflect, it gives you time to think. And yes, you don't have the bounce back of other people. That's the one value, I think, of really having a coach, having a mentor, having even this online, is that you have a bounce back. You have another perspective to look at. So, one thing that I do mindset wise is what Louise Hay calls mirror work. Um, um, Mel Robbins calls it your high five habit. Is basically looking in the mirror and being kind to yourself, asking, what would you like to do today? How would you like to feel today? And I work on mindset all the time, knowing, being aware of what the story is going on in my head, and then using tools, which I work with my clients on specific hands-on tools to be able to turn around a story maybe that isn't working so good, and to be able to just go, oh, where did that thought come from? Why am I thinking that? How can I turn this around? So that you're constantly going, okay, negative Nelly, I don't really need you, but thanks for that thought. Let's move on.
I love that. Yeah, I love the mirror, the high five. Yeah, every time you look in the mirror, give yourself a high five or tell you, "Hey, you look awesome. You're great." I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some people, there are people that don't even have mirrors in their house because they don't want to see them. Whereas I think you should put them
Oh,
all over the place, and mirrors and glasses. It's definitely, a way to cheer yourself on because that's so important to support yourself.
yeah.
And I love what you talked about the time, the introspection too, because I think a lot of us who do have people around all the time, we live in these busy cities, we end up forgetting about, our relationship with ourselves. We're so busy, we're so in the
Mm-hmm.
day to day, we never take that time. So I think that's really important. And I think that's something probably, when you're living where you're not in the middle of a big city, something maybe you can take with you when you go, big city people can take that mindset about introspection, I believe.
Definitely. In fact, the last gal that came up here for a personal retreat, which is something we do, that's what she said. How do I hang on to this? How do I hang on to this feeling of peace and happiness with myself and connection with nature? And I said, yeah, it takes some work, as far as like awareness, not hard work, but awareness, checking in, and then having some tools to interrupt that story, not in a shove it under the rug kind of way, but in a way that goes, okay, I see you. Let's reframe.
Yes. Okay. So you talked a little bit about tools, and I love your personality profile, the flock. I took I know what kind of bird I tested, what kind of bird I am, and it made sense. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, are you my flock?
Are you my flock? Yes.
Okay.
So
Well, I started bird watching with my daughter. And through all of these 40 years as an entrepreneur, of course, I went to a lot of training, took a lot of training, took a lot of courses. And one thing I realized is that most people, most of us, unless we dig in to actually teach something like DISC or Enneagram or Myers and Briggs, we don't really truly understand personalities in a way that we can move into speaking their language, which is the goal. The goal is not so much just to know who you are, which helps for sure. That's the starting point. But it's also understanding other people so that I can speak their language, just as if I was going to go to Spain for 6 months to a year. I'd get one of those little books and I would
right.
read and I would learn how to ask for, water or find the bathroom or get a taxi. Same thing when you're working with people that are not necessarily your personality or your flock. You want to be able to authentically, lovingly, compassionately move into speaking their language so they hear you, so that wall comes down. So I realized, bird watching with my daughter, that there were some specific characteristics that these main four types of, personalities have in birds, which we see all the time. So it's so much easier. I mean, Lori, if you and I were to go to an in-person networking and we walked in the door and I said, hey, Lori, you see that gentleman over there? He's a raptor. He's an eagle. Give me one word that would come to mind if I said that to you.
I would think hunter.
Okay, there you go. That gives me a clue on who you are too. And if I said, that the lady sitting over there by the table, I think she might be a dove. What's one
Yeah.
word that would come to mind?
Peaceful.
There you go. See how easy that is? So
Hmm.
much easier than walking in and going, "Hi, my name is BJ. I'm an INTJ." And they're like, "Hey, that's nice. I have no idea what an INTJ is," right? So it's a way for any of us to not put someone in a box, but to see how they move, listen to how they talk, pay attention to what they're talking about, look at how they're dressed, maybe, and go, "Oh, I think maybe I need to either kind of step it up a little bit, or I need to calm down a little bit, or I need to kind of hold my confidence and be able to move into a language that that person can recognize and communicate with a little bit easier." So it's a lot of fun. It's easy. There's a quiz, there's a book, and there's an audiobook coming out, which is pretty exciting.
Ooh, exciting. I love
Yeah.
audiobooks. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, that makes it so clear because yeah, you definitely, you hear a bird or I mean, I'm kind of a water people, always they always talk about dolphins and sharks and
Yeah.
there's no ambiguity there. Everybody knows the difference. So I love
Right.
that
Oh,
you use that.
definitely.
Yeah. So that is really cool. So I want to talk a little bit. One of the things, we talked about ahead of time was imposter syndrome and knowing
Mm,
your value. And you've worked with a lot of people that do work sort of, solopreneurs,
yeah.
people that work on their own, and they're really often, I'm guessing, feeling like, you know,
Yes.
do I tell us a little bit about, feeling like, am I good enough? Do I
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that and your thoughts on that?
That is such a valuable question. And I think even for entrepreneurs who've been in business for a while, it can still pop up from time to time. When you start to share your expertise, there's always going to be somebody out there who knows a little bit more about something you're sharing. And so that feeling of, I don't know enough, or am I sharing it in the right way? Or am I charging too much? Am I not charging enough? If, where do I fit on that spectrum? Those are concerns and questions that I help my clients through all the time, because understanding their own value is number one. Really, what do you bring to the market? Um, how much time did you put in learning this lovely skill, right? And even at that, what difference does it make? What transformation does it make? And to put a price on that, that takes a little bit of back and forth and work and talking. So helping them come to, you know, understanding and recognizing their own personal value is the first step. And that takes just a little bit of thought and some dialogue and dig in a little bit as to what got you to where you're at. And then setting your price so that you feel good about what you are charging, because you're being compensated for your expertise and your time in a way that helps you feel good and not feel like you're giving it away, because then you kind of resent doing the work. And at the same time, you know that you're not charging so much that you don't feel good about it. So there's a balance there, and it really comes down emotionally to who you are and what you're offering, the transformation that you make. It takes a little bit of, not necessarily work, but play, you know, attention, to the thought process in your head, and willingness to use a few tools to recognize that thought process and turn it around. So it's nothing unusual if you're suffering from it. Anyone out there listening to us, you're not alone. Every one of us have been through it.
And that's why it's so important to have a coach too. I had one of my coaches, and I actually said to him, I remember we had a conversation I guess it was about a month ago, and I was talking about how, I see these people who have been doing it for a while and they're really successful. And I feel like, I want to get like that. And I feel like they have all together. And he just looked at me and he's like, we don't have it all together at all. We're just as long, we've just been doing it longer, probably make a, we've been made ahead a little bit. Nobody has, we all, even the people who, I bet Tony Robbins has imposter syndrome thoughts at times, or feels like his doesn't have value. I think it's a common universal occurrence. And when we realize that we're not alone, I think it definitely makes a difference. Um, one
Right,
thing you
Lori?
said one thing you said about value, and I think when people are selling stuff, and I know I did this at first too, we put something together and maybe it takes us an hour or 2 hours to put a course together or something, say as example, or a talk, and then we feel like, well, it only took me 2 hours. How can I, it's not that valuable. We forget the fact that it may have taken us 50 years to get to the information, and that, all that information is part of our value. So I'd love to hear your thoughts a little bit more on really recognizing the value of you.
That's a very good question. And I think I'll just come back to coaching because when you when you think about hiring a coach, you're looking for shortcuts. You're looking for support, for encouragement, for tools, and for ideas that help you not have to wander through the muck for so long. And same thing when you hire someone to do something for you. You're looking for a shortcut, or you're handing it to someone who can do it quicker than you in a more effective way, like maybe a website or um, a funnel. I mean, just almost anything. So coming up with your value really has to do with the transformation that it creates for someone else. And with that transformation, they can move into making a better income quicker. They
Mhm.
can move into bringing in their ideal clients easier, which again is tied to making a better income quicker or in a way that feels good. So when you think about your value or the price you want to put on a program or a product or a service, think about the transformation that it creates for someone and how it helps them move forward in their life. And for some, it might not be that they would make more money. It might be they actually step into feeling confident and that they can again love living their life and not feel like they're walking in their own shadow or someone else's shadow. So, transformation is the value, and the price that we put on it can be different depending on what that value is that you offer people. So, it might just be a short little program that helps them do something that might have a smaller financial investment for them, or it might be coaching, mentoring that can literally change their life. And that would have a higher value to them and for you. So work with someone on on your value. Make sure that you talk with someone that knows how to help you find your value, see the transformation, and set a price that feels really good for you so that you don't hesitate when someone says, well, what does it cost? And you can just say it and you feel confident.
That makes total sense. Yeah. So yeah, it's not a matter of time versus money or what you're. It's really a matter of what they're going to get, and it, and it's funny because we see it in the world. I mean, there are people. You pay. People may pay thousands of. I won't, but some people may pay thousands of dollars for a designer dress, and someone,
Yeah.
and then you bet a dress that looks very similar for $100, and
Right.
the material is not that different, but you're paying for the name, and it gives that person that value, that transformation, that they feel like there's someone different in that dress, I guess. So it is something we see all over, and it's something. Yeah, I love the idea of having a coach because that definitely can help you. So you have been in the. Sorry, my dogs are barking.
It's
You have
life.
been in the. Roxy. You've been in the coaching industry for a long time. One sec. And you've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I'd love to hear, how has it changed over time? Clearly Zoom is a big change, but even
Oh,
other
yeah.
than that, what are some of the big changes you've seen?
I think, and it could be just that I'm more aware of it, but I think people are more aware of what coaching can do. I
Mm.
think a long time ago, coaching was very expensive, and maybe it was associated a little bit more with psychology, you know, whereas now, because, well, partially because there are a lot of people that have gone into coaching with their expertise and maybe just my awareness of it, I think it is really common for people to realize that there are coaches that can help them with everything from confidence to mindset, their communication, their strategies, their systems, their relationships. There's coaches for almost everything if you're willing to just engage with one. And Zoom, definitely, through the pandemic, there was so much change and so much isolation. I think that was one of the biggest things that I saw that made me sad. There was just a lot of division caused by everything. And Zoom really did open the doors for us to connect with people all over the world. And we didn't really have that awareness or that outreach before. So I think that's one of the biggest things that has changed in the last 5, 6 years is just that global connection of so many of us across the world. And that is a really cool thing.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. Although I have to say, it probably causes us to lose some sleep at times because
Oh,
I regularly have calls at like I have a close friend that I work with who right now is in Bali, and it's like we're all, my husband's like, why are you still not working? I'm like, it's 10 o'clock. Well, she's in Bali. That's why I'm still working. So no, I love that idea. And one of the things when I've only been an entrepreneur for about 3 years, so I'm very much new. I've been in corporate, and the two things I love most about it is one, the community and the support, and the other is like the idea of abundance. And I think the two are related because there is no, you don't have, there's how many billion people in the world. We don't have to compete for clients. There's plenty of them out there. And we don't have, like, and if we have something that we want, we can, we don't have to deal with a set budget. We can just make more money. We can just take on more clients. We can just do something else. And because of that, people are so willing to support you, to help you, to make suggestions, to refer you. And it's something I really love. And I'd love to hear your thought on that as someone who's been in this area much longer.
I'm not really sure which direction to go on that one.
Has the coaching industry interpret, have they always been so helpful, I guess? Or was it one point
As
more
from coach to
competitive?
coach,
From coach to coach or
community
from
to community.
mhm.
Yes, I think, well, and see, I've been networking. That's probably why I wasn't quite sure where to go on that one. But networking has just been part of my life ever since I started business. Um, so, networking meetings, networking groups, just learning to open your mouth while you're out and about and have a conversation and see where the conversation goes. I think that's part of personal growth. And that's part of understanding how to talk with anybody anywhere because it really does open the doors and make it easier for us to accept ideas and accept connections with other people, knowing that that connection could lead to someone you never would have met,
Mhm.
across the globe. So, yes, I do think that's incredibly valuable. I do think the community and the support of those in networking, whether it's a group you go to all the time or one you pop in from time to time, um, that's vital to your survival.
Mhm. I agree. That's so true. Well, we are getting towards the end of our time. I'd like to ask you if there is, BJ, if there's anything you'd like to share with the audience, and also if someone wants to get a hold of you, how they can reach you.
Okay. I actually have a lot of programs, but one of them that could be really helpful to just about anybody is attracting your ideal clients naturally. So it really talks about identifying your own value and learning how to understand the language, the different flocks a little bit, so that you connect in such a way that people are more likely to go, really, tell me more. Well, hey, what about me? Or my sister, needs that. So I would love to invite any of you to drop me an email at bj at popmindset, popmindset.com, and just send me the ideal client series, and it's my gift to you.
Okay, that's BJ at popmindset.com. That's a nice, easy one to remember. And that sounds great. Yeah, go ahead and reach out to BJ because I think when we understand our ideal client, we'll definitely connect with them better. So that makes a lot of sense. So the last thing I always ask all my guests is if you just had one piece of advice you would like to leave with the audience, what would that be?
That would be to understand that the brain is constantly evolving and you're not stuck. If you feel like you're stuck in a thought process, you feel like you're stuck in a circumstance, there is a way out. There is an easy way to start to retrain your brain to bring you the abundance that you want and to minimize the fears that stop you. So please don't give up. Reach out for some help, reach out for a tool, and know that you're not alone. There's a lot of us out here, like Lori said, with the community that want to see you succeed and live a life of joy.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're not stuck. Remember that you can always get through. And I think people, when people know there's something on the other side, it's a lot easier to deal with that negative. So I love that. That's a beautiful message. So before we end, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to mention?
Well, I'd say pop over to my website or my YouTube because I will hope that I can post this um, on my YouTube too.
Yes.
But pop over there and see if there's a class coming up on something that has to do with either mindset or retreats. Lori and I both do retreats. So if you are looking for a way to escape and write it off as a business expense, you'll want to talk to Lori or pop over and ask me if I have something going on because we are here to help you love your life and thrive.
That's great. And your YouTube is Pop Mindset.
Yep,
Okay.
popmindset.com.
Popmindset.com. So yes, well, thank you so much, BJ. This has been great. Love talking with you always. I'm going to come someday. I'm going to come to visit you up in Alaska, probably in the
Yeah.
summer.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
not a cold,
definitely. Don't come in the winter.
definitely in the summer.
Don't come in the winter because I won't be able to get to you.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. I guess your winters must be a little tough.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they're in. Well, you since you live off grid, yeah,
yeah. So, but it's not, I know it looks beautiful up there, and I know I have not been to your networking events yet, but I saved it in my inbox, and one of these days I've had a program that's been, but one of these days I'm going to make it. So thank you so much for
yeah.
being my guest, and I will be sending you the recording so you can place it on your channel and anywhere else you'd like to share it. So,
All
well,
right.
thank you everyone for being here, and this next week is our Thanksgiving in the US. I know Canadians already had some, so I'm not going to have a guest because I'm going to leave a lot of guests to, share that week with their family. But next Monday, I will be talking a little bit about gratitude, about some tips to really make that experience with your family something you love and something you look forward to as opposed to stressful. So join me next Monday at 11 a.m. Central Time, and we'll talk a little bit about the mindset for getting into the holiday times and taking those stressful experiences and turning them into something you really enjoy. So have a fantastic day, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.